Every single business out there, from the little corner store to a massive global corporation, really just runs on one thing: decisions. It's the engine that drives everything: growth, innovation, and ultimately, survival. So, how do the best leaders make sure that engine is firing on all cylinders?
And look, don't just write this off as some dry textbook theory. This single idea that the quality of your decisions is what defines your success is the absolute bedrock truth behind every business that really thrives.
So is it all just gut instinct, a lucky guess? No way. The best leaders refuse to leave success up to chance. They trade those random shots in the dark for a clear, structured process. And in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to break down. Here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll get to the heart of why decisions are so important. Then we'll pull back the curtain on the core framework they all share. We're going to zoom way out to see the big strategic picture. Then zoom right back in on the day-to-day operational choices that make it all happen. We'll even crack open the manager's toolbox before finally turning this whole powerful process over to you. All right, section 1, the heart of business. Let's kick things off with the big question. Why does every single choice, from hiring an intern to launching a brand new product, carry so much weight? Well, it's because every outcome you see, a thriving company, a failed startup, it's really just the result of all the choices that came before it, all compounded over time. A series of good decisions builds momentum and success. A series of poor ones, that leads to decline. It's pretty much a fundamental law of business. So if decisions are that critical, how do we get them right? Well, that's where our framework comes in. And listen, this isn't some rigid, bureaucratic formula. You got to think of it more like a powerful guide, a roadmap to get from a problem to a really successful outcome.
And the real power here is in the order of these steps. Just look at the flow. You can't solve a problem, that's step 2, if you don't even know what you're aiming for, right? That's step 1. You can't analyze your options in step 4 without getting the data from step 3. And notice that the decision itself, step 5, comes pretty late in the game. The real magic isn't in the moment of choice. It's in all the solid, methodical work you do before it.
Now, not all decisions are created equal. Some of them shape the entire future of a company. So let's start at the highest level, the 30,000-foot view of strategic choices. This chart lays it out perfectly. A strategic choice, like, say, deciding to enter a totally new market, that's a bet the company kind of move. It's slow, it's expensive, and it is really hard to undo. A tactical choice, like changing a product's packaging, is faster and more contained. The key, of course, is making sure your tactical decisions always serve your strategic ones and never undermine them. So when you boil it all down, what is strategy? It's exactly this: knowing where you are on the map, deciding on a super clear destination, and then, and this is the tough part, drawing a coherent, actionable path to get there. If you're missing any of those 3, it's not a strategy, it's just a wish. But hey, a brilliant strategy on paper is, well, it's just paper, right? It's useless until someone puts it into action. So how does that happen? Through operations. This is where that 30,000-foot view meets the pavement. I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes the connection so crystal clear. Your strategy might be, okay, we're driving from New York to Los Angeles. Awesome. Your operational decisions are, all right, are we taking a sports car or a minivan? Are we sticking to the interstate or are we going to take the scenic back roads? Who's navigating? These are all the practical choices that actually make the trip happen. And in a business, these are those choices. As you can see here, these are the literal building blocks. Deciding where to build a new factory, figuring out which parts of production to outsource, or how to invest in AI. Every single one of those is a brick that constructs the reality of your strategy. And here's the crucial takeaway. That line between operational and strategic, it gets real blurry real fast. These decisions are completely interlocked. A choice about where to put a factory is a 10-year commitment. An investment in AI changes your entire cost structure. These aren't just minor details, they are your strategy in motion. Okay, so how on earth do managers navigate these huge, complex choices, especially when the future is so uncertain? Well, they don't just rely on a gut feeling, they open up their toolbox. They use specific analytical tools to bring some mathematical clarity to a cloudy forecast. I mean, the future is always a big question mark, right? Will the economy grow? Will our new product be a hit? Who knows? So instead of just guessing, Managers use quantitative tools to map out the possibilities and weigh the risks. And one of the most powerful tools for this is the decision tree.
Let's make this super real. Imagine you're planning an auction. Look at the two main branches. You can hold it indoors or outdoors, and each has a different upfront cost. But the big uncertainty, the risk, is the weather. A decision tree forces you to assign probabilities, maybe a 60% chance of sun, 40% chance of rain. By mapping out each potential profit, you can calculate the expected financial value and make a data-driven choice, not just a guess.
And that's really all it is, a tool for imposing some logic on an uncertain future. It forces you to define your options, consider the different ways things could play out, assign probabilities, and quantify the potential payoff. You're basically turning a complex what-if problem into a math problem.
So let's bring this all home, because these frameworks and tools, they aren't just for CEOs in some fancy boardroom. The underlying logic, that disciplined process, is universal. It can and definitely should be applied to any important decision you're facing.
And if you take only one thing away from all this, let it be this. Having one clear, structured process is infinitely more powerful than 100 gut feelings.
You know, we all have good intentions. We all want to make great choices, but just wanting it isn't enough to get you across the chasm. It's the process that builds the bridge. That discipline of defining your objectives, gathering data, and analyzing options is what connects where you are to the results you really want.
And maybe that's the most empowering idea of all. Great decision-making isn't some mystical talent you're born with. You can trade the crystal ball for a process. It is a skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can absolutely be mastered. So, as we close, I'll just leave you with this. Think about the most important decision on your horizon, whether it's personal or professional. Looking back at that 7-step framework, what's your very first step? What objective are you really trying to set?